Kushner have negotiated, Kushner have insisted on behalf of Donald Trump with Polish authorities, with Polish government, top government, Czech, also Slovakian, they did not want to get into it. Hungarian was stimulated to get in it. Austrian was stimulated to get in it for the sake of ZIOFASCISM, that I could actually be used as a entry, that I would get unlimited support if I would side with ZIOFASCISM, of course through the ZIOFASCISM, with Poland, with Czech, with Slovakia. I don't know about the Hungary. The only thing that I know is that, you know, the stuff that I have talked about. As an entry point, as an investment, individual who would support money from Poland and other countries to Russia. Therefore, not Polish money, but money that Rothschild, that HITLERYAHU would give to the Poland, would, you know, to the Russia, injected in the Russia through Poland, Czech, Slovakia, maybe Hungary, I don't know. Hungary complained to me about money too, to Russia, which means that you would have astronomical amounts of Jewish capital flooding Russia, and Poles would basically be used as a deadly instrument against not only Russians but also Germans, British, French, Italians and other people who are at this point very much stimulated, interested in combination with Russia, because they know what the United States is all about. So they have anticipated the scenarios, they knew about these things, and they were more than willing to stand up behind me. On my surprise, my biggest surprise, I questioned everything, so I was very detailed about this. Why and how would you, like I said, I was from here, from Slovenia. It didn't make sense to me that, you know, that actually you're gonna have Polish, Slovenian here from Slovenia, my God, Borut Pahor, communist, ex-communist. He is not communist, he's just a corrupt apparatchik. I respect communists. I respect everybody. My destiny is to bring the people together. But it's one thing I do not respect is the criminality, the corruption. And this individual went beyond anything imaginable. In 2012, traveled to Israel, like I said, and have demanded the money from Jews, from Israel, direct to Slovenia. He have opened them Koper, port of Koper, direct line to Israel.
Published on my website on July the 29th, 2017 under this very article. And if you scroll down, basically I give you total description of what exactly took place between Netanyahu and this individual here, who is Prime Minister, was Prime Minister of Slovenia. Now actually this dude is President of Slovenia. There is an article here from Israeli news outlet, says this is posted on other Israeli sites as well, where it describes at that time Prime Minister Borut Pahor his visit to Jerusalem, where he begged Israelis for the money, actually begged them to buy Port of Koper, which have had numerous other people, nations interested in purchase of one. But this individual here, he simply insisted one to be sold to Israelis. Fascinating. What other nations are running away from? This guy just, he just goes in the center of it. No, it does not get more corrupt than this anyhow. And you can see right here from the government website, Slovenian government website, right here, you can see the route, the map. From Koper, direct line to Israel, right here. You got two locations. One is Haifa, and the other one is whatever this is here, Ashdod, whatever. Right here. So this is basically now the second biggest port for Israelis in Europe with direct connection to Israel. Yeah, it's real.
Half-approved Westinghouse to build nuclear facility number 2, I think, over there in Krško and so on, without anybody knowing, without giving the public notice about possibilities of other constructors getting involved in this project and stuff like this. I mean, the guy is just...
This individual, truly unique, definitely have talked to Westinghouse, basically to build a second block in a nuclear power plant in Krško, and this basically without giving any prior public notice regarding this construction. You can see here Guantanamo and so on. A lot of muddy stuff, a lot of corruption everywhere. He actually talked with Americans about Slovenian railways and stuff like that. He wanted to give away everything that was, I would say, in Slovenian, owned by Slovenian state, to either Americans or even Israelis. Listen, it's not that I would have anything against American companies, but the fact is that every single one of them are controlled by the Rothschilds. This is just a plain fact, and therefore you're talking about Israel right here. Now, the WikiLeaks have actually proven that Pahor, Borut Pahor, now president of Slovenia, was going to mug Slovenian state for about 400 million euros, over 450 million American dollars, with construction, Westinghouse construction in Krško. This is just the way it is. I mean, these are plain facts. This individual would block Russian, European investors, but would promote heavily American, Israeli interests on the territory of Slovenia. And you can go ahead and you can investigate that WikiLeaks have released information about this individual. So he is as muddy as it gets, really. Well, I'm just going to say that a politician like this is extremely dangerous, is using victim, small victim like myself, to typically, to scapegoat individual, to typically engage in corrupt background operations that are taking place parallel to the stuff like this. This guy is involved in a whole variety of other shady deals behind the curtain, behind the scene. People like this, they need one another. They need one another. They need scapegoats. They need somebody, that they can point finger at, somebody they can play with. And so they can do all kinds of stuff. Netanyahu can have his story is going. Israel can have its stories going, and the individual like this can do other stuff. And the more people that gets involved, politicians that are watching this stuff here, you should pay attention to this. The more people that get involved like this, trolled in the case like that, the better it is for people like Netanyahu, the better it is for the people like Borut Pahor, because they become immune. Because then what happens is they can say, well, but you know, this and that. There's a whole talk behind the scene that takes place. And so these people sort of disperse themselves from the criminal liabilities because they surround themselves with a circle of people who should not have anything to do with. They shouldn't be there in the first place. That's how it works.
On my surprise that these people would get involved, first of all, at first they did not want that. They resisted. Czech did not want, Slovakian did not want, Polish were very tempted, Hungarians tempted badly, and Austrians, it was like, we approve. We're going to give you some extra money. It's like a Poroshenko's basically over there in Ukraine. We're going to give you some extra money, and imagine how much you will profit if you become part of this anti-multiculturalist movement in the name of the Israel.
And here is the truth about Visegrád Group, group of people, politicians, if you like, known as, just as you see here in this picture, all for one, one for all, but none for you, for us, the people, simply because it is going to be, according to these people right here, it's going to be either ZIOFASCISM, it's going to be either Sieg Heil HITLERYAHU, Sieg Heil Israel, or a continuation of multiculturalism, I should say white genocide, that already have finished over 250 million lives across the Europe and United States of America. These very politicians and their advisors and other prominent figures, not only in Visegrád Group, but across the Europe, specifically referring to so-called right-wing parties, white nationalist parties, our women and children, lives of our women and children mean absolutely nothing. Means nothing to these people that our women and children are getting raped, that our people are getting killed, jobless, as long as it is so for the sake of the ZIOFASCISM. And here also have to issue a dire warning to you, the people. If we, as the family of the white nations, because this is what we are from the same family, if we cannot come to the same terms, I'm going to repeat this, per where we are from, who our enemy is, and, in that case, we are simply not worthy of his mercy, I should say, even to terms who our Father is. Let's put it this way, never ever should we allow, we, to people, to the groups of politicians, to decide to condition our existence to us with our enemies, with the triumph of our enemies, with the ZIOFASCISts, therefore. This is unprecedented. I deem this to be unprecedented in the history of the world.
I did not even post the videos about what Poles have done to me in Warsaw. And look, don't take anything personally, because I absolutely have nothing against Polish people or Hungarian or Czech or Slovakian people, whatever. I really want the best for them. I do want the best for them. But, you know, it's the corruption that you have no idea what the hell I have gone through, and I have still placed on my resume that I am not going to work for the company that is related to SIEG, the Central Intelligence Agency, because Central Intelligence Agency is so criminally corrupt.
Well, this is exactly how I have attempted, well, I should say, how I have presented myself to what should have been otherwise potential employers in Hungary, in Budapest, during 2017. And you can see right here that I did not hesitate to include, well, even after 11 years of forced unemployment with torn apart shoes, a paragraph in my resume that have clearly stated that work for American intelligence companies, I should say American companies that would use me to perform any kind of US intelligence related work, is out of question. Do not waste your time. I don't even want your money. And so I say this because, I gotta say this, that because this Visegrád Group with HITLERYAHU, with Netanyahu, I gotta say these people were extremely, extremely optimistic. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of corrupt politicians with center of the evil that actually counted on my some way somehow settling for their ZIOFASCIST terms. Wow, I gotta say, extremely optimistic people.
And I needed money to buy me shoes, as you know what was in Hungary. And I applied for the jobs and I did these things, and I just totally refuse corruption under any kind of terms, under any kind of circumstances. And so, this is number one thing that I want to say to you, that Kaczynski is beyond disgusting. I think his brother did not really die in Smolensk. There already are theories that they couldn't find, they have investigated, and they couldn't find his remains and stuff like that that would pertain to his DNA.
I'm actually not even crazy, folks. If you look at the news about ex-Polish president killed in Smolensk in Russia, you will see there is news all over the internet that there were no his remains of him found in that accident. Actually, in his coffin, there was someone else's bones in there. They even went as far as this. And so maybe his brother could reveal us where his brother is actually hiding and why those 96 Polish people had to die. This incident, not to ignore also what was Russian downing of Dutch jet, Dutch airplane over Ukraine. That was done also in my personal opinion, by Poroshenko. You know, folks, it just doesn't make sense. It would be really, really stupid for the Russians to go ahead, and kill 96 Polish people, including the presidents, on the flight to Smolensk, where they would express solidarity, with killed, massacred Polish World War II officers. That would be just, who the hell, if you think from psychological viewpoint, who would come up, with a plan like this? Polish officers during the World War II were killed by the Russians, by the Red Army. And do you actually, folks, think that, Putin would go and he would be so malicious that he would go and he would order, Russian military to down a plane with a Polish president who had intention to pay respect to the fallen victims of his Polish fellow men, World War II fellow men? This is just crazy. This is just really, really crazy. But, when you, consider the stuff that we're talking about right here and right now, yeah, in that case, it does make sense to cause accident like this and blaming it all on Russia. And it's totally the same thing right here when it comes to the plane MH17 that was shot down over Ukraine, and it's what Russia was blamed for. It was this almost identical logic that suggests that we are dealing with the politicians from European Union. Russia has nothing to do with. To confirm this theory, all we have to do is basically ask ourselves two questions. There are two questions that we have to ask ourselves to understand what I have just stated. First one is, what exactly would Russia, mighty Russia, profit from downing civil plane with the civil passengers? What exactly would Russia profit within from doing such a thing? Well, the answer to that is easy. Nothing is the answer. Russia would really not profit absolutely anything from downing plane, jet with civil passengers on it. And the second thing that we have to ask ourselves is, which military in this world, including Donetsk rebels, what military in this world would go out there and change, mistaking such a huge plane, civil jet plane, with a danger, with what possibly would present some sort of danger? The truth is that none, actually none in this world, even in Africa or any other location worldwide, something like this would not take place. But if we consider the level, the degree of criminality when it comes to Poroshenko, who have sent Ukrainian people to die over there for nothing else than for his business, then, I should say a little bit more, for Israel to gain yet another portion of Europe, to gain control over yet another portion of Europe, which is this one here, Ukraine, via United States of America, then yes, then it becomes totally obvious that both of these incidents, the one in Smolensk and the one in Ukraine were related to European Union politicians. We can all agree that it was for European Union politicians that have orchestrated both of these incidents.
If the two planes are compared, you can see Boeing 777 passengers plane, and you can see right there, you can see F-22 Raptor military plane. You can see huge differences right here. Okay, I just took F-22 just, to compare, just for the comparison purposes. An F-22 is actually 21 meters long plane, but still 3 times smaller size than when it comes to Boeing 77, 64 meters. And when it comes to wingspan ratio, F-22 is 5 times the lesser size than Boeing 777. Speed, cruise speed, 562 miles an hour for Boeing 777 and almost 1,500 miles an hour for F-22. Here you can see the comparison. I sincerely doubt any military out there, and especially not if, well, that's what mainstream media claims, that Donetsk rebels were backed by the Russian military. One would be backed by professional, maybe most professional military in the world, a Russian military. That's just really crazy. Things like this don't even happen in Africa. But there's a bunch of other stuff that have happened that very same day.
Another fact to consider is that plane was downed in an area, airspace controlled by pro-Russian Ukrainian people. That's where they had the confrontation basically with Poroshenko's. And that very same day, 160 planes flew over that region. And it was only this plane here, where the conflict was with Poroshenko, that was downed. I should say by attention-hungry Poroshenko.
I think that plane was not crashed by the Russian authorities. I think the plane was actually crushed by either German or Polish authorities, by the ZIOFASCISts, who wanted to hold Polish people in a situation, in a position to see Russians as undesired, as somebody to be cautious about, somebody to be wary about. And this is exactly the stuff I go against, because I want everybody together. I just want to say that we are all in it together with one another. And I want to say that regarding the Polish, this was released after I have, of course, after I have published the news about the Kushner, how Kushner is involved against me. He was involved in an MKULTRA. This individual, this Jew, basically depriving my citizenship, not only of the females. These Jews basically have deprived me of my life. Let's just put it that way. And have even conditioned me my US citizenship, my return to America, with what would be MKULTRA, torture, continuation, and so on. That's what Jared Kushner suggested me. So I just want to say this to the Polish people, okay? Number one thing is that you don't have the knowledge, not only the money. You don't have the knowledge that Germans, British, French, Italians, and other Western societies have that would help Russia. But under your demands, crazy demands, would place you again somehow via corruption on the top of the chain of other people. It is maybe not even 5% of the knowledge that you have of what they have. You're nowhere even near you can compete basically with technologies and stuff that they have developed. So you need to learn, you need to sophisticate through the opportunities, which I hope there will be plenty for you. I don't mean anything bad for you, I mean all the best for you. It's beautiful, it's commanding to see that Belarus, Ukraine, I can tell you, Eastern European countries around Poland love Poland and see one as a freedom, as they look up to. They go to work in Poland. Everybody loves Poland, including myself. But the corruption is not the way for anybody, and is not even the way for you. You have to do things honestly, and you have to respect everybody, and it's time to heal the wounds. Not to separate us, but it's time to heal the wounds. I know what Germany and Russia have done to you. In World War II, they have divided you, they have executed so many of your high-ranking military officers, totally unjustly. I completely know they have attempted to deprive you of your nationality. You would disappear under this kind of terms. But you also have to acknowledge that a lot have happened to Russia. Russia lost 20-25 million people because of Hitler. Germany lost millions of people after the World War II. In towns were burned to death. Eisenhower death camps for the Germans. War ended, but millions of Germans were starved to death. Now you're talking about the millions, not about the Jewish 6 millions, but you're talking about the real people being starved to death in front of other Germans in Germany by Americans. I'm just trying to say that we have all gone through a lot of stuff. I'm just trying to say that on one side are Catholics, Roman Catholics, and the other side Russian are Orthodox. But I'm just trying to say that we are from one family of the white nations, and we have to work together with one another. And what I'm trying to say is that Germany is a very great neighbor. This is that part number 2 regarding your demand for the reparations. After World War II, unlike in the United States of America, when you were discriminated, and you were discriminated from the Trump personally. I was in Chicago. I have met workers who have worked on the Trump towers, the Polish workers, personally, who Trump have hired. It just happened so in 2008. And those people did not have insurance. Those people were not compensated for overtime. Those people got good money compared to the Poland, but nothing anywhere even near as to what US workers should otherwise be paid if they would perform that job. The only country that have treated you more than good, with tremendous amount of respect, and that is due to bad conscience, due to really pain they have caused to you, was Germany. Germans have intermarried with you after the World War II, have a beautiful German-Polish marriages in Germany. Polish people know that no Pole that went to Germany came back without the money, like I did. Guy from Slovenia, from the US. They were all being taken care of very well on a long run. This is what the Germany is, and it should be in your interest to help Germany and not to strangle Germany, because Germany can only help you if you help Germany. And that second thing is that if you want to talk about the reparations, yeah, maybe you do deserve maybe 20 billion, let's say, dollars in reparations from Germany for the Warsaw and for other stuff that was done to you. But I just want to remind you that half of the Poland is stolen from the Germany. Half of your Polish land is stolen from the Germany. And so if you want to talk about the reparations and then sign one, and Germans are going to pay you 20 billion and you're going to pay them 500 billion in return. What do you think about this, my dear Polish people? This is you know, that other reality that, you know, I was faced with. You know, I was told, what is it going to be if I'm going to mention, you know, Jared Kushner? What are we going to do?
Regarding, if you like, evolution of Poland, Polish borders, how those have changed, they have changed, I don't know, maybe 50 times over the history, over the course of the Polish history. Poland is much bigger than just what present Polish borders suggest. All through, these are by far the most exclusive borders that Poland have ever had, because there's a huge portion of Poland that now borders Baltic Sea, actually. That's the stuff that I have talked about. That is a stolen German land. But as far as Poland, you can see what basically was happening throughout the history of the Poland. Polish people are Polish people. Polish people mixed with Lithuanians, Polish people mixed with Germans, Polish people mixed with Ukrainians, Polish people mixed with Belarus people, with the Russian people, Polish people mixed with Czech, Slovak, and so on people. So Poland plays extremely important role in Europe, and Poland is extremely important country in Europe. It's a very beautiful, high diversity, wide diversity country. And the way I see it for the Poland would be, you know, to simply, the best thing that Poland can do is Poland is admired in whichever country you go, whether you go to Belarus, whether you go to Ukraine, whether you go to Baltic states, Germans like Poland, wherever the hell you go, Poland is admired, loved. And so I suggest to Poland one thing, basically, and that's to stay away as much as that would be possible from what is corruption. Present, same as Germany represents, that's basically law and order, and work as much as possible with other European nations, build relationship with these nations, build relationship with Germany, build relationship with everybody, so these nations, including Germany, that is by far the strongest one in this region, can help you out as well, Poland, because that's all we want in Europe. And we count on strong Poland because we simply love Poland. I love Poland. So I don't have any reason to go against Polish people in any way. But I will do my best. I will do whatever it takes to fight against corruption. That definitely is the case, and that definitely will stay the case for the benefit of the people. And so you can see here just how many times Poland changed borders. And that's what makes Poland beautiful. Poland makes beautiful the mixture of the people that Poland has. High diversity of the people that's, live in Poland. So rather than to work on division, we, the Europeans, have to work together with one another. That's how I see Poland as. Extremely important partner, prominent role within the European Poland have to have because of its history in this part of the world. And the worst thing that can happen to Poland is what have happened to Europe time and again. Poland was not an exception, and that's basically that territorial greed
corruption, ideological differences that led to mass slaughterings. We don't want any of this. What we want is, we want a stable future within the family of the white nations. We want to help one another. We want to work. We want to be part of one another. That's what we want.
Imply on this that we are from the same family of the white nations and we have to work together with one another. That we have to work together with Russia like brothers, help one another. Reject ZIOFASCISM at all costs. This should not become even an issue to discuss. I have suggested on my blogs that due to terrorism, not tourism, but due to terrorism, due to Mossad terrorism that Israel is performing across the Europe, Jews should collect their bones from Europe and transfer them back to Israel if this is basically what they want. Not if they want, because this is basically what we want. We don't want them here anymore, not even, I quote that, as a tourists. Every honest Jew that was a Jew quit from Torah simply because he doesn't want to be part of the criminal Kabbalah, because he knows that Torah is a self-destructive book. It's a book of death. It's a suicide book. It's about the same thing as German Nazism was during the World War II. It's a book of death is what it is. So stay away from that ZIOFASCIST ways. Love one another, respect one another, and I think there are no limits of growth for everybody. Stay away from corruption, stay away from the ZIOFASCISm is my motto, and there is no limits. One day eventually our white brothers and sisters in the United States of America will be able to come to Europe and claim that most basic human rights as political asylum against ZIOFASCIST regime in the United States of America.
Before I get out of here, I want to accent one more time that stuff like this really hurt. This Jared Kushner Trump apparatchik, ZIOFASCIST Heinz Christian Strache from Austria, for whom it was not enough to get involved into my case against me, to blackball me, to help the enemy all along, he had to go a little further and boost the morale from the enemy on the dates that you see here. Did a lot of, in a parenthesis, pigeon shit for Israelis. This is his personal website, right here. Walked on those days around Israel and talked total nonsense about what, or I should say, where Israeli main capital should be, according to him, in Jerusalem. He doesn't have anything else but admiration for Israelis, for the Jews, and also nothing else than hatred and disdain for me, because I love my own people and I continue to acknowledge enemy as an enemy. And because this individual was so hurt that I simply was not broken throughout my ordeal, it seems like that he came up with a news like this on a boat date. Another individual that I want to talk about maybe is the one right here. This is a Geert Wilders from Dutch Partij for the Vrijheid. In German we say Freiheit. Now, this guy, Geert Wilders, is actually a Jew mixed with, he's got some Indonesian blood in him.
And people claim that this individual definitely is Mossad agent, which I absolutely not even have a second thought about it. He was in Israel no less than 40 times during 25 years. It's about almost twice a year in Israel. And so if that's not a lot, I think that also explains the situation in Holland and in South Africa, which is related to the Dutch people, I'm sure, as you know. Not only the Holland is flooded with third world, flooded, I mean flooded. The only thing that this guy talks about is that it is almost too late. That's what he's talking about, that it is almost too late. When the Holland is maybe 50% of the population, how I see it, is not even native there anymore. And he does not even talk about, he does not even mention, I should say, Dutch minority in South Africa. Boers, South African white people. No wonder that 90,000 of them already were slaughtered during the last 23 years. August the 12th, 2017. Oh, that's a quite irregular movie, I would say. I have not done videos like this before. But I did like this intentionally, to be honest with you. There are quite a few reasons why I did it so, why I did it this way. Christian Strache did not go to Israel to hit my moral only. It's actually, it was a challenging, it was a bullying, I think. Because before the August I was here. So within the few days I was here, they knew this is the news I'm going to be talking about. They knew that I'm going to go through this news. And to tell you the truth, I did refrain myself. I did distance myself from thoughts that I was going to express on the webcam just a few days ago. Let's put it this way, because it was August the 4th when I started recording this video, part 1. And so, and also portion of part 2 went through. And so, you know, when I look back and when I see it, and I see it, this individual actually really had a strong impact on me. Something that I would not say for Viktor Orban, Hungarian. Even that my car is still there. Even that Hungarian drivers appeared in Warsaw, and bus drivers that would bully me. That's video separate from this one. Have audio recordings and video recordings about that. It's going to be interesting to see that. Despite everything that I have gone through in Budapest with the SIA people and stuff, I still think that his message to the world is totally different. I think this individual is the only individual in Europe, the only politician, like European politician, that openly stands out. And he is okay with me. No matter what, I like him. I still like him. I still approve him. But that's exactly the opinion that I have about Christian Strache. That's the individual that have pressed severely on me, on Visegrád Group, on Orban, and as much as many people, including myself, were angry about Angela Merkel, about her position on political view, on the way she ran Germany, the way she runs Germany. My honest opinion on that is that there's much we don't know about Angela Merkel at all. And considering the post-World War II situation, Germany, not only Europe but the world, I actually believe that she did a hell of a good job
And as much as she opened the gate for invasion on Germany, she seems to have opened another gate for the German people. That prosperity, future, gate of the future for the German people, I don't even want to talk about. But if you did read my blog, you know what I'm talking about. And so with the people like Christian Strache and other so-called pro-white parties across the Europe, I would not even compare her with. Christian Strache, alike, Geert Wilders alike, politicians, so-called far-right politicians, pro-white politicians throughout Europe, it almost appears as if they would represent option like myself, because I am pledging myself to the option that would unite us all together. But there's only one difference. They condition us, I'm going to repeat, they condition us, our lives, with the ZIOFASCISM. It's exactly what I fight against. I fight for the real option, for the people, against the enemy. And it seems to me as if they don't understand. It seems to me, or maybe it was just the way, you know, to have one of the cards open if something like this could possibly go through. But it will not go through. As long as I am alive, it will not go through. About the Polish police that I also have mentioned, I'm going to talk about on my blog. And I do so because I was told, if you're going to talk about us, if you're going to say anything about us, this and that, that it's going to be bad, and then this is it, you can't count on us anymore, it's over, there will be no support in this and that. Regarding the protection in Poland, it was no different than the one in Hungary, so maybe Polish police should not feel so bad. In the Hungary, I was literally sent into a nest of Mossad. They would not even investigate, police would not even send police officers to investigate when I was literally offered sleeping pills so I could be transported to the Israel. Did not bother for me to get my money back, to ask for my money or something like that I have left in that hostel and so on. Was escorted by the clouds of Mossads, and when it comes to Poland, I'm going to repeat the same thing. Was escorted by the clouds of Mossad. And so, how much exactly was I protected in the Poland? Well, let's put it this way. If you protect me from Mossad, I was protected as much, let's say, as one can be protected if he have clouds of Mossad walking alongside maybe Polish or Hungarian police. I don't really feel that I was really protected. The whole thing was nothing more than hyping individual, making individual hyped, you know, terrorizing individual, you know, so, you know, he would not rest, he would not get sleep, and somehow would settle for these violent terms, get mentally broke, and start maybe the same song like other pro-white political parties do and have done across the Europe. It's something that I want to say. The HITLERYAHU, that's going to be another video because I got plenty of videos coming. I want to say to the Polish people one thing. I have learned so much in this trip about what is happening in Europe. This should be a news separate, and it's going to be a separate news. I'm going to have a separate video coming. I'm going to have a lot of video coming. I have a lot of videos coming still from the trip, from the five and a half month long terror trip. Should be aware that Israel is, you know, preying on economically weak countries, either economically weak or European countries. See them as a prey. And if you look at the economical statistics of Belarus, that exactly is the case. Well, that's all for this video. Again, today is August the 12th of 2017. Is that all that I want to say? Perhaps. I just want to touch one more time if an issue. It's an important one. If there was another reason why I have not released this very video earlier. As you know, I'm going to remind you again, I started one on the August the 4th of 2017. Actually, it is. It was and it is. But I still can't say why. But it's important for me to say this. As funny as it might seem, it will make sense already maybe in my next video. Thanks for watching this time. See you.